Hello and welcome to Drive and Double Feature Podcast. I'm Nathan.
I'm Ryan.
And this is the podcast where we talk about 2 movies a week every Tuesday and Thursday. But before we get into today's movie, I want to talk to you about our Patreon over at patreon.com/Drive and Double Feature Podcast for $5 a month. You can help support us and you get fun bonus content where we review modern movies and we just talk about each other's movies taste. It's a really good time over there. Definitely check it out. But getting into today's movie, we are talking about Angels with Dirty Faces, which came out in 1938, directed by a director that nobody has heard of, Michael Curtiz. Who?
Who?
Who? Of course, talking about Taika
Oh,
Waititi.
the Elvis director.
Yes, yeah, he directed. Which one did he direct? Blue Bayou? Not Blue Bayou. King Creole. King
Yeah.
Creole. Yeah.
Nothing else notable.
No, nothing else. Not that he directed something called Yankee Doodle Dandy, Mildred Pierce, and Casablanca. Who knows? I don't
Was
know.
it a Spanish film?
Yeah,
The White House. It's a presidential movie.
Yeah, it's about Ronald Reagan or something. I don't know, but we'll see about that one day. But no, all jokes aside, Michael Curtiz, one of the great directors, really amazing. He's directed many great movies. I love Casablanca. Yankee Doodle Dandy is also another one that I think is really good. So
Also with James Cagney.
yeah, another James Cagney movie. So yeah, Angels with Dirty Faces is a James Cagney movie. It is a gangster movie, or at least I kind of thought it was. It still holds that title, but a little less than I expected. I actually didn't know a lot about this one going in, except for the title. Have you seen this one before, Ryan?
Nope, never
Okay.
have. I mean, I've seen Angels with Filthy Souls, which is kind of the same thing.
Yeah. I've only seen the sequel, with Angels with Even Filthier Souls, right?
Well, there is a sequel to this movie, right?
I did not know that. Okay.
It's this is legit. This is not a joke.
Okay, yeah,
It's
yeah.
it's called Angels washes their face. Angels wash their faces.
You can't. This sounds like a joke. This sounds like a bit. I did not know that.
I swear to God. Swear to God.
Does James Cagney return?
No, but the boys are in that one again.
Oh, the dead end kids.
Which I
Yeah,
want to talk about those.
me too. So I'm excited to get into this one. No, that's interesting because it's just like, and it's a movie I'm going to keep bringing up, is a rival movie that year, which I think you've seen as well, is Boys Town, the Spencer Tracy movie where he won best actor for it. Very similar movies about kind of young troubled boys. That one's a little more specific on the boys than this one. But that movie, Boys Town, has a sequel as well, which I think is bizarre.
Oh yeah, that one's called what? Father O'Malley or something,
I
or
I forget now. I would have to look into it. Boys run this town. Something weird. uh,
boy the Boys and Girls Club.
the Boys and Girls Club. There we go. Uh, but no, this one is, like I said, gangster movie. James Cagney, which another person that I don't really think needs a crazy introduction. Very, very significant role in like early Hollywood. I like him. I like seeing him in movies. He's just a very unique presence. So I think that's cool. Um, but let's get into the movie, right? Let's hop on in. This movie starts off with James Cagney as a kid. I was really like taken aback because the kid they picked to play young James Cagney looks exactly like him. I was like, oh my god, they did a great job.
I was wondering that at first because I I was just like, is that actually James Cagney? Like I legitimately thought like
With
they
some
just
makeup.
well like I guess I wasn't paying attention to the year and I was like, oh well this one actually came out after Public Enemy, but I'm like, well
Yeah.
maybe this is like early James Cagney. But then when I saw the year, I was like, oh no, was like a kid that looked exactly and sounded just like James Cagney.
Yeah, and I want to talk about that because I read up on this movie, and I guess the that kid is Frankie Burke, who was a part of the Dead End Kids, which we'll get into them a little bit later. He was actually hired on the spot. They were looking around for a child actor. They saw him and they were like, wow, this kid looks exactly like James Cagney. And they just hired him right then and there to be put in this movie. But yeah, I mean, he's just a troubled kid. Him and his friend, Jerry Connolly. Uh, yeah, sorry, I should say that James Cagney's name is Rocky as well, but not
Mm-hmm.
the Rocky. Is this who your dog is named after?
Yeah, exactly him. It
Yeah,
was because he's got a dirty face.
yeah, yeah. But I think this movie sets up that they're just troubled kids, and it's very 1930s. We'll get into this a little bit later, but I think it's so funny that young James Cagney here, young Rocky, walks down as this girl is talking to him, and he like accosts her, like
Yeah,
knocks her around, hits her hat, and everything, and it's like, oh, he's that's just how you act to women around here, I guess.
that's how he rolls.
I guess
But
so.
he does. I was worried when I saw that because I know after seeing Public Enemy of
Mm-hmm.
how violent he is with his wife or whatever in that
Yeah.
movie, where he just like that
Well,
famous scene where he just shoves a grapefruit in her face. So I'm
that's
like,
right.
I'm worried that this is going to be like one of those where it's just like he's got a girl and he's like beating up on her or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But that's really the only scene where a woman is
No, no,
done harm to.
no. Yeah, it's definitely not on the level of Public Enemy because isn't like the rumor, or I don't know if it's just plain true that he actually did do that to that woman. Like he shoved the grapefruit in her face and everything. Um, I can't speak to that, but I do want to bring up that this Frankie Burke, he like went on to be in like 14 other movies after this, but I don't know if this is a depressing note. I just thought it was interesting. He became homeless later in life after all of this Hollywood. After he grew up, he was unfortunately a child actor that went homeless and died kind of just unknown,
Wow.
which is really depressing.
How much longer did he live after this movie?
Yeah, he died of lung cancer, which is common of this time. Frankie.
Everyone was smoking cigarettes more than they were like actually breathing air.
Exactly. This is off. Like I've been reading a book called TV Noir, and they were talking about this one TV show, early detective show, and the star in that, in the episode, he's promoting tobacco, and he died of lung cancer later. I just thought it was a little ironic. It was so pushy too. Actually, he lived till 1983. He died at the age of 67.
So a nice, long, horrible life.
He- but he was homeless. So I don't know. But he did have a kid at some point. He does have a surviving child,
So is
which
there
is
potentially a kid like running around that looks like James Cagney?
yeah. And they're hiring him for like the James Cagney biography that they plan
Yeah.
on doing. Uh, but I love after this because there is a big time skip because he does kind of get caught. This movie does that trope, and I mean, this is before it was a big trope, right? But everything's told through newspapers flying in and out of frame. How does this Rocky guy have so much notoriety that he is the headline anytime he does anything?
I don't know, because he starts out as kind of like a delinquent and he
Mm-hmm.
ends up having to go because him and his friend, which is the later who become a priest, but
Yeah.
Jerry is his name, and they were end up becoming friends, and
Mm-hmm.
they Rocky was kind of like being like that good friends, like I'll take the fall for this one, just
Mm-hmm.
you go. But I think what it was is like he started to become like an up and coming like gangster, and then by the time we end the time skip, he's just like super notorious gangster at this point. But
Yeah. Yeah.
but
That
I,
even like the street kids look up to him.
but yeah, you're right. It's just every little thing he does. It's like they have to plaster his name out there.
Yeah, he's the headline above everything else. But one of the standout characters in this movie for me shows up at this point, and that's Humphrey Bogart playing James Frazier, who is who's a lawyer, but is like a really scummy lawyer, like just kind of doing everything under the table. It's really interesting because I mean, I know Humphrey Bogart has played a lot of different roles, but I guess from my experience, he can play scummy, but he's usually always the hero. Here he is the true villain of this movie. Rocky isn't a good guy, he is a gangster, but but you just come to hate this lawyer because he takes like money away from Rocky.
Yeah, well, there was a robbery, and
Hmm.
basically he's like, if you take the fall for this, go to jail for 9 years, and then you come back, and I'll give you your money back.
Yeah, and then he forgets that when he comes out of prison, and he's like, "Oh God," because Rocky shows up asking for his money. He's like, "Did you tell him I was here? Like, can you get him away from here?"
That was funny because he's like,
Mhm.
oh, I thought it was for another month.
Yeah, no, I love that. And Humphrey Bogart's great in this. He's great as usual. Um,
I every time he's just on screen, I don't know. He just has that allure to him. It's not
mhm.
like he's a great actor too, and I don't know what it is, but it's not what I'm
Yeah,
trying to say. He's not the best actor I've ever seen, but
no,
I want to see a lot of
you know, uh,
him.
he's not, of course, I'm comparing like someone who has less acting ability, but it's kind of like what we talked about with Charles Bronson, where he's such a personality, like someone so interesting. It's just like, I want to see him do stuff. I just want to see him in a movie. I enjoy him. He's just got charisma.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. But Rocky at this point, he's kind of just going around town. He finds a place to live with his priest friend, or his friend who became a priest. Once again, this is where I feel that like connection between this and Boys Town is and I want to get into why I'm comparing them so much. But because Spencer Tracy played a priest in that, and he's taking care of kids, and this priest wants what's best for these kids that he takes care of, but they look up to Rocky, the notorious gangster bad guy. Um, but I do really quickly. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just going to mention he runs into that girl again, and then
Oh yeah.
they had the confrontation, or like it's like a really like heartfelt meeting. And at first
Mm-hmm.
he's like, oh wow, I like it's how you been type of thing, and then she just immediately like smacks him around, just like I waited 15 years for that.
Yeah, I really like that. I actually I think it's Ann Sheridan who plays that role. I think she's really good in this. I really liked her and Cagney's like relationship in this movie.
Oh yeah, she's good.
Yeah. And speaking, I guess getting in there, Cagney's great too. I mean, James Cagney is once again, he brings a personality, especially these gangster roles, and I think he's just great at it as it. Once again, just a man with charisma that you like watching.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
pretty great in a lot of stuff he does, and
Mhm.
he got nominated for this movie too.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to bring up. Whenever I was looking at the Oscars for this year, Boys Town kept coming up because that was the big movie that year. Spencer Tracy beat him. Michael Curtiz was nominated for Best Director, and but that was Can't Take It With You, that one. But Best Story also went to Boys Town, so it was kind of a competition.
I just realized because said he was called Father Flynn in that movie. I was thinking of that Bing Crosby like movie where he plays a priest
Oh God,
going my way.
yeah, Going My Way, which is actually a pretty good movie. That because that also won Best Picture, right?
Yeah,
They
that
love singing priests. I don't know.
and this is the one though. Boys Town. That is that the one with Mickey Rooney?
That's the one with Mickey Rooney. Yeah,
Yeah.
where
Okay.
Mickey Rooney plays a bad kid, a troubled kid, which is so like it doesn't work the best.
When I see Mickey Rooney, I think rebel.
Oh yeah, that kid, he's gonna cause a stir. He's a mean kid.
Comparing the two performances, did the Oscars get it right?
Between Spencer Tracy and Cagney, I don't think so. I don't. If you remember, Spencer Tracy had won Best Actor already.
For
And
the year before for
yeah, the year
Captain's Courageous.
exactly. And I think that's the better performance. And this, I always, when I watched Boys Town, I was like, that performance is kind of forgettable. It's kind of boring. Cagney stands out. Do I think Cagney should have won? Maybe not, but I do think it's better.
I would have to look at the other nominees that
Yeah.
year, but yeah, I remember. I know I've seen Boys Town, but
Hmm.
obviously I don't remember it well enough. The fact I got it mixed up with the other Priest movie. So
Exactly. Yeah. No, that movie was pretty like forgettable all around. It's just kind of in my mind fresh because I think I watched it earlier this year. Um,
yeah,
but this movie is also well, actually, let's get into the because I said bad kids. Let's get into the dead end kids because it's a group of kids that harass people around the town. They even steal a baby at one point. They steal a baby in the carriage, and then the guy's like, "You stole my baby," and they're like, "Oh, whatever." Like they send it
yeah.
to him.
Annoyed with them that they stole the baby. Like what do you mean? Like what are you pissed at us for? We just stole a baby.
Yeah, that's it. We just stole a baby. Come on.
Yeah, they cause a lot of havoc, and James Cagney, when he shows up fresh out of prison, and
Hmm.
they like do like the old like they steal all of his money because Humphrey
Hmm.
Bogart's character actually gives him like 10 grand, I think is what it was,
Hmm.
and they the kids steal and they're like, oh wow, look at the wad of cash.
Yeah, no, I really like that. Well, you want to know a fun fact? I don't know if you read up on this online. So not only did these kids cause havoc in the movie, they
Yeah,
caused havoc in real life. And I think just like one of the funniest stories, I guess they like harassed Humphrey Bogart, and this isn't the only movie they harassed him on. There's a movie called Dead End, funny enough, and I guess I forget. I might be mixing stories. It's either on that one or on this one where they stole his pants.
this
And
one they stole his pants.
imagine doing that to Humphrey Bogart.
I know he's got his lifts on and everything.
I know
It's
he's trying to be as tall as everybody else. Um, but no, I guess they were mean to everybody, but they would ad lib and ruin takes, and I guess they did this to James Cagney, and Cagney was the wrong person to do that to, and like in real life, he like hit the kid in the face, like the kid that ad libbed, and I guess they stopped doing crap like that afterwards.
yeah. Then this is like the kids like I think it's like their first third movie, I think, because like the
Gotcha.
Dead End Kids was like a thing like
Hmm.
before this, and
Yeah.
because they were a group of young actors that was in a Broadway play called Dead End,
Hmm.
and
Yeah.
this was like their first incarnation of that, and then it led to the movie Dead End, which you mentioned, and then
Hmm.
it's like a group of actors that would do this together, and it was like these kids.
Yeah, the 1930s, like early Hollywood was really weird because I feel like that I can't think of any, but there's definitely multiple like troops of just like people that would just act in movies. Like you had to be a part of the group.
Like the Marx Brothers, for
Yeah,
instance,
Three
or
Stooges,
Three
right?
Stooges. Yeah, just like they have to put them in there, and they may not. And a lot of times too, like they would be put in these movies, and it would say like I know like some of the Three Stooges or Marx Brothers, it would be like starring the Marx Brothers, but then there'd be like this other like main plot that was the real main plot, and it wouldn't even like involve like the troop. Like even this one, it's
Yeah.
like the Dead End Kids, but they're not the stars of the movie.
No, it's not their movie. Even though I guess I never realized that the angels with dirty faces like referred to them. I didn't know they were in this movie. But the movie kind of revolves around them. I mean, the whole ending of this movie is related to them, which I find really interesting.
Yeah, I mean the whole point of it is just that they love Rocky so much, and that the priest is worried that Rocky is going to corrupt these kids, and they're going to turn into
Hmm.
little gangsters too.
Exactly. It's kind of like a whole circle.
But
But when they use language like "what a boner," I'm like, oh, that's so
I,
disgusting.
yeah,
Yeah.
that only one thing they could be referring when they say that.
Yeah, there's no other thing it could be about.
Um, I did want to go into the history of these kids.
Yeah.
Did you dig into that at all?
No, so go ahead.
Okay, so this is when I said this is their first incarnation.
Hmm.
They they there's multiple incarnations of this group. So what happened was is like these kids were all under contract with Warner Brothers and Universal. They wanted their own version of the Dead End Kids. So um, they the there was like the couple of the main kids were still under contract with Warner Brothers.
Mm-hmm.
So there was like two of them, but like four of them that weren't. Like Universal's like, all right, we'll take those kids that you didn't contract, and then they made their own troupe called Little Tough Guys.
Little tough guys. That sounds like so much worse. Like,
Just a horrible name,
yeah.
and then eventually those other ones that were in the group that were under contract with Warner Brothers, like they went over to Warner Brothers and they joined the
Mhm.
Little Tough Guys. But then after that, another producer, Sam Katzman, wanted to release his own version of that.
Mhm.
So he created his own separate group of like six other juvenile actors, and those are called the East Side Kids.
Which is a bit, that sounds a lot better. But when do the Wanderers enter the mix?
Oh, they're coming.
Okay, okay, good, good.
Uh, anyway, that eventually though they were all like the original cast from like the Dead End Kids were not in there, but for the second film, he was actually able to get the group from the Little Tough Guys into now to the East Side Kids.
What
And
the hell?
after that, the last Little Tough Guys movie was in 1943,
Oh wow.
and from 1940 to 1945, do you know how many East Side Kids movies there were?
I don't. How many?
You want to take a guess?
15.
22.
22. I thought 15 I was pushing it.
No,
How many?
no, there was 20. I
God.
mean, I remember. I mean, I know like old Hollywood. It was easy to get movies made back then, and like
Oh
it's like
yeah.
you didn't need to have like this big script or whatever, and they would just like just pump them out. Let's go. Like
Yeah.
there'd be like three or four coming out in that same year.
Yeah. And
Uh,
post production was just splicing some film together and you just push it out, you know.
um,
Um,
and then and then the last bit of group, the last bit was they took the East Side Kids and they renamed them the Bowery Boys.
why would they change I guess to freshen it up after 22
I
movies?
guess, but there's like some of the main kids. There's like two of them that were like part of the original group, and it's like 20 years later at this point almost, and they're still like a part of this group. But now it's like they're having to like cycle in and bring in new like actors each
Mhm.
time. But Nathan, how many Bowery Boy movies do you think were made from 1946 to 1958?
I'm gonna 33. Let's go.
48.
How? And how have I never seen heard of the Bowery Boys?
I don't know. It's very much like a slapstick comedy, and they're very much doing like the type of like the same bits. It's like these little kids, like, oh, hey, wise guy, like that type of
Yeah.
thing, like just doing that type of stuff. The last bit of trivia I want to give you about this. So,
Okay.
like towards the end, they came out with um, there was a movie at the same time. There was a movie called High Society, and that one starred Bing Crosby and Frank Sinatra.
Okay.
And that was like a musical movie. But at the same time, the Bowery Boys that very same year came out with a movie called High Society featuring the Bowery Boys. And
Okay.
I don't think it was any direct competition. I think it was just coincidental. That's what it
Yeah.
seemed like, anyways. But anyway, the Oscars at that year, um, they wanted like there was a category of best story,
Hmm.
and apparently on the ballot it had both of those movies on there, and the Bowery Boys movie got nominated when
What?
everyone really meant to nominate the one with
Oh, the
Frank
other
Sinatra.
one. Oh my God. What a boner.
Yeah, I know. But and then like the producers of the movie like acknowledged like, yeah, we didn't deserve this award. We don't even want
Okay.
to be considered for it.
Yeah, I think that's so, because at first I was like, man, they're really nominating like this film franchise that's obviously like shoveled out. So okay, that's funny that they mix them up.
Yeah, so it was just funny, but that's the very shortened history of the Dead End Kids. But there's a lot more. But I was just like, because I was like, who the hell is like this like group? And then I fell down a rabbit hole.
That's actually really interesting. Maybe we could pick one week. I think that would be a fun thing to dig into. They're
That'd be
probably
funny, yeah.
so boring though. Like I can't even imagine.
But that'd be like the equivalent of like imagine like this big like A24 movie like nowadays like and then like an Adam Sandler movie like with the same title and then like they accident like oh no like that'd be like the same like
Uh,
equivalent.
did you mean Jack and Jill the art film or Jack and Jill the comedy? No, well, we'll just put two on the both on the ballot this year.
Whoops.
No, I mean that's awesome. That's what's fun about these older movies, like the old Hollywood movies. Old Hollywood history is so weird and filled with like I don't. It's just so weird because it's so like. I mean, 30s. We're almost hitting, or we're next decade, almost 100 years ago. So things just ran so differently.
It's just so crazy like to think like there was like you know and I mentioned it kind of where is like these people were under contracts by studios so it's
Yeah,
just like you're not allowed to go make a movie at a different studio like
yeah.
it'd be like if all those Marvel guys were just like
That's what you do.
you're only allowed to make Disney movies for until we release you.
Yeah, I could. That would never fly nowadays. I
No,
can't
like
even
people,
imagine.
yeah, they're absolutely not. But
No.
it's just crazy to think of how far away, you know, like that was like a thing. They're just
Yeah.
like, you're now owned by a studio.
Yep, Universal now owns you. But you always read about that where like they're like, oh, we had him under contract, so we had to put him in like a movie. Like you read about movies that just have people in it because it's like, oh, we had to put him in a movie.
Oh
Um,
yeah, or like studios doing favors for other studios and borrowing them from other studios.
yeah, it's stuff like that always interests me. Um,
But stay
but
tuned for our old Hollywood podcast.
yeah, just wait for that. Wait on that one. But we talked about James Cagney hitting these kids in real life. This scene, the basketball scene where he refs the basketball game, and he like beats the crap out of all these kids. They're committing technical fouls. Imagine getting in technical foul and then just getting slapped across the face.
Yeah. I like the basketball scene. That was pretty
I
funny.
I did too. It made me laugh, especially because Ann Sheridan is watching, and she's like turned on by this. Her and the priest are talking, and the priest is like, "Wow, he's really good with these kids," and she's like, "Yeah, it's really amazing." As he's hitting them, this is what I meant by like this movie's very 1930s, or the idea of like hitting kids is like, "Wow, he's a really good fatherly figure."
Yeah, he's actually there. He's
Yeah,
abusing them, but he's there.
at
It means
least
he's
he's
a great
paying
father.
attention to them. Yeah,
He's acknowledging them.
wow, that's so nice. That's so nice of him.
I guess you can kind of talk about like the dynamic between um Fraser and Rocky kind of where
Mm,
he is eventually able to kind of corner Fraser and he's like and he's basically fed up because Fraser's been delaying this whole thing where
yeah,
Fraser just wants to like I don't have your money. Like what are you talking about? Type of thing.
yeah.
And then like he goes over to Fraser's house and holds him at gunpoint, and
Hmm.
he's eventually able to get his money from him.
Yeah, and I really like this part of the movie. It kind of goes in a direction I wasn't expecting because I always Angels with Dirty Faces. I've always considered that like a part of the gangster genre. I think that's because of Home Alone. Um, but it's not really about him being a hardcore gangster. It's about him getting what he wants or what he's owed, because he is owed that money, and he fights hard to get that money. He holds him at gunpoint, he kidnaps him, and then the higher crime bosses they have to kind of give him the money because otherwise it's like we have your guy, we got Humphrey Bogart, and
Now, I think like that's like the thing. Like eventually, like Fraser's boss was like trying to think of a way to like get rid of Rocky. So it was kind of
yeah,
like, oh, like I got this we can bump him off or whatever, which is,
Hmm.
I think this is later, but like he's like, we got to think about how we can get Rocky, and Rocky's just like in the next room over. He's like, hey, I heard all of that, and he just
And it's not sneaky too. He has like the whole door cracked open. Like you can see James Cagney's face like poking out from the other side of the door. And they're like, we gotta kill this guy. We don't worry. He's a
yeah,
flub.
yeah, no subtlety at all there.
No, not at all. Yeah. And I mean it all kind of comes to a head, and there's a really great shootout scene towards the end. It's really long.
Oh, well,
Oh, go ahead.
I do want to
Yeah.
mention the other scene before that, where it's
Hmm.
uh Rocky does eventually get 100,000, and
Hmm.
uh Pete gives $10,000 to the kids to so that
Yep.
way they could split up, and then they all just go out and they go out and buy like nice suits, and they go and
Yeah.
like it's like they're totally allowing like underage drinking in this bar. It's just like, oh yeah, a round of beer, and it's just like all these kids are just drinking, smoking cigars, like while playing pool.
Yeah, I really like that. I just obviously that is what kids would do if they got $10,000. It's like Pinocchio. They go to,
Kinda.
yeah, in a way. These poor kids. I really hope that their role model, they don't grow up to be like him, and I really hope they don't. There isn't something that happens that makes it so they don't want to be like him. Um, we'll see.
Well,
We'll see.
well, yeah, like the priest, he goes on like a whole like I hate, like screw
Yeah.
this guy Rocky type, because Rocky tries to pay
Yeah.
him off and give him money for towards a new church.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess personally, when I watch the movie, I get where he's coming from, but I think the hate is a little unwarranted. Like he is like very like, this guy's awful. I don't like him. He's actually a bad guy. But from what the movie's perspective, I don't really view him. I know he's a bad guy, but the movie definitely represents him as like misunderstood in a way.
Yeah, like I didn't really get the sense that like he was planning out like this next crime syndicate or anything. It's
Hmm.
just he basically was just like, I want what belongs to me or
Yeah,
whatever, and I'll do whatever it takes. And
yeah.
but he never like commits new. Well, I mean, I guess he murders some people, but
No, but it's okay. It's not a big deal.
they were bad people. He didn't kill innocent people.
Yeah, that's true. It's a bad guy killing bad guys. But yeah, I mean that shootout at the end of the movie, I guess it was such a big deal that it delayed like filming like a whole week. This like went over a week of schedule just because of this scene. It's good. It's a good shootout for the time.
Oh yeah, I enjoyed
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
And he's like running down the street block, and the police are chasing after him. I like the bit at the end though, when they think he's got a loaded gun, but he was really basically turning himself in because he didn't have his gun was unloaded the whole time.
yeah. Um, and this is something we'll talk about with Thursday's movie, but I think it really comes down to the Hays Code, which I don't know if we've talked about at all on this show. But
I don't think so.
just in case you don't know, the Hays Code was something that came in, I think it was 1932 or 1933. And it was like a set of rules that every Hollywood movie had to go by, and you couldn't go against it. And one of those things was the bad guy could never win. The bad guy could never, like, if there was a murderer or anything, that was a no-no. So I really think the ending is notable. I think it's one of the most famous parts of this movie, but man, they really kill this character in the final scene.
I, like I never really understood like why they went in that direction. I mean,
Yeah.
like I can understand like he has a lot of penance to him. He's like maybe I deserve this. I made all these mistakes. Maybe
Mhm.
this is for the best type of thing. But the priest, like I really did not like the priest character in here. I mean, he's just
No, not at all.
because I mean, like even before all this, like he goes on the radio talking like we need to catch this guy Rocky Sullivan. We need to
Mhm.
like and make sure there's like newspaper articles written about him. But then like Rocky is like in this prison cell they told him he's going to be executed,
Mhm.
and like it's not enough for the fact that Rocky is about to die, but now this priest is like, you're gonna have to start crying. You're gonna have to start acting like a coward. I'm
Yeah,
like, this guy's about to die. Like, what the hell? Like,
it made me so angry. I thought it was just a really awful way to end this movie for the priest just to be like, yeah, so to pay for all your sins, even though you're getting the worst capital punishment, sentence you could of death, can you act like a baby when you die? That's going to make it so these dead end kids don't look up to you which is insane to me. Um, uh,
yeah. I mean, I understand crime doesn't pay, and they
yeah, of
wanted to go with
course.
that. I've seen other movies do that where it's just like these characters end up losing in the end, and
Yeah.
I would have been totally fine if they did that, but it's just like zero dignity at all.
No, because he's like grabbing onto the pole. He's like, no, no, don't kill me. No. Like he
It's like
really,
I want my mom. Like I just have, like I don't want
yeah.
to die. I don't want to die.
Yeah. It's so lame. And then they kill him. And then the kids are like, did he really say that? Did that really happen?
Yeah, they're like, did he really go out like a coward? And he's like, yeah, he did.
Yeah, I love that. No, no wink wink to the camera, like he's thinking about it. He's just very quick, like, yeah, he did. Yeah, he was a coward. little
Yeah,
baby.
told scaredy cat dead.
Yeah, yeah. And that's how the movie ends. Um, I don't know. I guess I like this movie. I think it's a fun, classic movie with a little bit of an odd ending. I guess this wouldn't be my like gangster movie pick, but it was enjoyable, I think.
No, I mean it's there's a lot of tropes in here that I like. There are a lot of
Mm-hmm.
performances that are good in here.
Mm-hmm.
But man, does that ending really sour my whole
Yeah,
experience with the movie.
yeah,
Like
yeah. I totally agree.
if it ended like how I thought it should end, I'd probably like it a lot better. But as it is now, I'm just like, it's a
Mm-hmm.
good it's a good movie, but probably not going to be putting this on my best of list.
No, no, it kind of it'll go in the middle. But is it a recommend? If any of this sounded interesting, I'd recommend it. I
I
don't think it's worth not a recommending.
I'd say so. I'd say it's a recommend. I mean,
Yeah.
just kind of go in with the mindset of the ending may not be what you're looking forward to, and
Yeah.
but at the same time, I mean, it was still a good movie.
Yeah, of course, yeah. Um, but yeah, I think that wraps it up. So Ryan, what are we gonna be covering on Thursday?
Well, we've talked about good seeds. Now we're going to
Yeah.
talk about the bad seed.
Oh my God. All right. Well,
And that one is not available in any streaming service, but you can rent it digitally or get DVD if you'd like.
yeah, yeah.
Or you can watch it on the Internet Archive too, I believe.
If you want to recommend us anything, you can email us at driveanddoublefuturepodcast@gmail.com. You can also tweet at us at DIDFpod. But until next time.
Until next time, see?